Have you ever thought just how much credit buying is used throughout the world? Every country uses credit to some extent, and most countries use credit as a chief means of exchange. On a national level, one country may use its good credit to buy food, machinery, or supplies from another country. The amount of credit that a country may have depends largely on its resources and on its credit reputation. Many countries actually borrow money from their own citizens to finance various types of projects. A country may borrow money to construct a building, to finance a federal program, or just to pay the interest on other types of loans. When a country borrows money from its own citizens, it usually issues bonds that pay interest to the purchasers. The interest is ordinarily sent from local, state, or federal income taxes, which makes purchasing bonds from the government a good investment in many cases. The federal government may also operate on credit. It may anticipate revenue from various types of taxes that will be due within a short period of time. In a way, one might say that the government is actually borrowing money against its own accounts receivable, which is a practice used by many large business organizations. On the state level, much business is also conducted on credit. States borrow money from their citizens by issuing bonds. However, a state may also borrow money from the residents of another state by offering its bonds for sale on a national level. The interest rate that a state must pay to those who buy bonds depends on the credit rating of the state itself. If a state is in good financial condition and has a reputation for good fiscal management, the interest rate will probably be low. If the state is not in good financial condition and therefore has a poor credit rating, it will probably have to pay a high rate note to attract buyers for its bonds. Many states also have various other sources of revenue, that is, including income taxes, sales taxes, and property taxes. From these sources, the states finance everything from education to sanitation. Many projects are financed on the anticipated revenues from assets in collected taxes. Obviously, states use credit extensively. Cities also use credit in much the same manner that states do. In most cases, however, it is on a much smaller scale. While a state may wish to finance construction of a large highway system, a city may wish to build a new municipal building or a new school. The amount of money involved is much lower, of course. The most varied use of credit, however, is on the personal level. People borrow money for almost every imaginable purpose and from a wide variety of sources. The first thing that comes to mind when one thinks of buying on credit is the financing of a home. Many men and women throughout the world finance their homes through mortgages. A mortgage is simply a legal obligation to repay a lending institution the principal borrowed plus a set rate of interest. Few people have sufficient savings to purchase a home with cash. Therefore, borrowing money to buy a home is a very common practice. Many people also borrow money to finance automobiles, television sets, and various home appliances. It has also become common practice for people to borrow money to finance the cost of education. In some cases, lending institutions give special terms to those who want to borrow money to attend a college, a technical school, or some other type of educational institution. Credit may be offered by banks and other institutions that lend money directly to the public. Credit may be offered by department stores and other business establishments that finance the purchase of items for each individual buyer. Credit may also be established on a continuous basis by stores that offer revolving charge accounts. Credit represents a great convenience not only for the stores but also for the buying public. It helps people obtain the things they need at the time they are needed. It is easy to see that the world runs on credit. Dear Mr. Worth, Mr. Harry Smith, who formerly worked for your manufacturing company, has applied for a position as correspondence clerk at our advertising agency. We are considering Mr. Smith for a position of great responsibility, and we want your opinion of his character, his work, and his attitude. Will you please be good enough to answer several questions about Mr. Smith? Is he a person of good character and judgment who can be trusted to handle highly confidential work? Is he a dependable, responsible person who can organize his own work and complete it without direct supervision? In your opinion, is he a person who could progress in a company such as ours if he should be given the opportunity? Will you please let us hear from you as soon as possible? We will appreciate any information that you can give us. If we can ever be of similar service to you, I hope you will let us know. We will be glad to reciprocate. Sincerely yours. Dear Mrs. Short, it is a pleasure to acknowledge your request for information about Mr. Harry Smith. I am glad to write a letter recommending him for the position of correspondence clerk with your company. As you probably know, Mr. Smith worked for my company for 10 years. During that time, I found him to be a person of excellent character, and He could be depended on to do his work without direct supervision. I was satisfied with both the quality and quantity of his work, and he received several promotions during his tenure with my organization. He was usually at his desk a few minutes before the start of the regular workday. He never objected to working overtime when the occasion demanded. Mr. Smith is an excellent writer and administrator. Unfortunately, the opportunities for advancement in a company such as this are very limited for a person of his talents. He discussed this situation with me on several occasions, and when an opening occurred at a local newspaper, I reluctantly agreed that it would probably be a good idea for him to take the job. I know, Mrs. Short, that if you hire Mr. Smith, he will be just the type of efficient employee you need. Will you please let me know if you should hire him? Sincerely yours.